Okay, I wanted to make a quick video for YouTube about the recent shooting experience that I had at the United States Shooting Academy in Oklahoma. I've posted little sort of 1-minute video clips of the activities that we got up to, and there's been a few questions that people have had with respect to the training and the type of firearm that I was using. We were there for 4 days. I took my wife, Joanne, to give her an introduction to the AR-15 platform, basically rifle shooting, because she hasn't done any of that before. I hooked up with a guy called Richard Cleary, who was an instructor for me about 2 years ago when I was here, and his off-sider, a guy called Jason King, only a young fellow. I met him last time I was here as well. Jason took Joanne away for the 4 days. They were shooting in the bay next to us, and Richard and I did our own thing, and then we linked up sort of on the last day and shot together. Also had the pleasure of meeting a guy called David Dover, who's a mate of mine, one of the locals who's been watching the YouTube channel, and came out and shot with us. Also brought an AR-15 out with a red dot, and giving Joe some experience. We had a great time. USSA is a very good facility. It's got excellent training facilities, and the instructors are very, very good indeed. I don't think Richard would have any problem with me saying that he's a specialist in the close quarters battle type shooting. Not so much long range, because long range shooting it's a different skill set, and the facilities that they have at the USSA are more set up for that 100 metre, although they do have a 300 metre range, but it's designed primarily for handgun and for close quarters type shooting. And the first thing I'd say is that I was using a Scar Heavy. On the first day I had a semi-automatic Scar Heavy, the civilian version. It had the muzzle brake that comes with the rifle, and the recoil wasn't really an issue. Second day I was given a select fire version of the same rifle, so I got to bust some bursts, and it became very clear very quickly that automatic capacity on an assault rifle like the Scar really is just a complete and absolute waste of time and ammunition. I was shooting at 50 metres trying to get bursts onto a steel plate, and with no success whatsoever. The rifles were equipped with iron sights, which is what I'd requested. I like shooting with irons because it's a wee bit more challenging, and I believe that if you can get a reasonable skill set with a set of iron sights, it's quite a simple matter to transition to something like a red dot, and you will get generally better results. I've got nothing that validates that, other than it did seem to be when I did start using the red dot, David's red dot, and another rifle with a red dot, that I just basically couldn't miss. So Joe was also being trained on the AR-15 with iron sights, and just to give you an insight into what is possible if you have good instructors, she went from being uncomfortable around rifles full stop to being able to shoot very accurately at 300 metres. She was getting hits on steel at 300. She was shooting on the move. She was snap shooting. She got very proficient at engaging one steel plate and then transitioning at quite wide angles to hit another couple of steel plates very quickly. And within a day, she was confident and enjoying herself. I think it's a testimony to the trainers. And there is a cult of personality around many of the names in the shooting business here in the United States. There are guys who have worked pretty hard to create a profile for themselves, some of whom have become almost like gurus. Now, I'm not going to argue with their skill set. They're phenomenal shooters, but oftentimes that doesn't necessarily equate to being a good instructor. And I've seen a few of these guys instructing, and quite often it's a case of them telling the student to do something. The student screws it up, and they sort of jump in and say, well, stand back a little later, let me show you how it's done. And it becomes kind of an ego dick swinging competition. Jason and Richard are two instructors didn't have that problem at all. They're very, very good at imparting knowledge and making sure that the student is absorbing it, doing what they're told to do, and then correcting any problems. There's no ego associated with it. So I thought Jason, young guy, did a phenomenal job with Joe. He was also just rehashing the handgun skills that she got from front sight. And by day 3 she was transitioning from rifle to pistol at close range with no drama at all. So overall I had a great time. I would say, if you are going to do CQB, that is the close quarters snap shooting, shooting off the shoulder, shooting off both sides, both hands, you probably don't want to do it with a 7.62 rifle. I was beaten up. There is a fixed cocking handle, a reciprocating cocking handle on the side of the Scar Heavy, which, if you are adopting the grip where you're up against the magazine rim, your thumb is up, you're going to lose your thumbnail, which happened to me. I lost the top of my thumbnail. It only has to happen a couple of times. That reciprocating handle causes a few problems when you're shooting off the shoulder, around obstacles, snap shooting, just bring the rifle straight out. It does tend to catch bits of your body, and you know about it. I hadn't had bruises in God knows how many years. I don't know if you can see this, but I got the snot kicked out of me. That's a bruise that was there, and it was black a couple of days ago. I was bruised up here, and I still am. They've gone yellow. I'm not going to show you, but I was bruised up in both shoulders from the butt plate of the Scar Heavy when firing it sideways or firing it off the top of the shoulder. So, if you're going to use a battle rifle as your main go-to firearm, you need to do training in CQB, but just understand it's going to hurt. So, as a general rule, that type of shooting is much better done with a 5.56. There's not the problem of recoil. It may have been exacerbated because the second firearm that I had, the Scar, I said the first one was semi-automatic only. The second one was full auto, but the guy who owned the firearm had taken off the muzzle brake and fitted a standard bird cage. So there may have been more felt recoil than you would with the issue Scar. I understand why you might have done that, because the muzzle brake or the recoil dampener or the flash eliminator, call it what you will, that's issued as standard with that firearm produces a tremendous amount of blast out the side. And if you're shooting alongside somebody on a fixed no distance range, it's a pretty antisocial thing to do. People alongside you are going to wear your blast, and it's quite dramatic. So I can't really think of anything more to add. Scar is a fantastic rifle. I wish they hadn't used a reciprocating fixed cocking handle. I don't understand why they made that decision. The old FN, which I have, the SLR, has a cocking handle which folds forward and doesn't reciprocate. I don't know why they didn't reproduce that engineering solution. But everything else about the rifle I really liked. It has an adjustable stock, which you know about. The cheek piece that can be adjusted up is a great bit of kit. Again, not a good idea to have it adjusted up when you're doing snap shooting because it catches you in the face. And I did get quite bloody on the side of my face, but I think that may have been from the single point sling attachment as I was flicking the rifle up and mashing it into my cheek to get a cheek weld. That may have just caught. But I've got a photo I'll try and post with this video of the rifle handed back at the end of one of the days training, and it's covered in blood, which is, it's the old rule when we were in the army with the machine guns. If you didn't have a machine gun covered in the operator's blood by the end of the day, it meant you weren't training hard enough. So not that big a deal. Excellent instructors, excellent facility. They've got a good philosophy there. I think they have a membership to the USSA and what do they call it? A skills development group, or basically they can shoot once a week, once or even twice a week. People can come, who are members can come along. There's an instructor there, and you can refresh the training that you've already received. It's kind of like just a constant repetition of the formal training that you've had in the evening. It's a couple of hours. You can turn up. I don't think it costs anything, and you've got an instructor on site. And as a group, you can go through just honing your skills. Which I think it's a very good model for the various shooting schools and clubs that are around there. Don't feel that you have to pay many hundreds of dollars to go and train with the names, because honestly. I don't want to knock these guys, I don't know these guys, but I suspect that what you're doing is you're paying a shitload of money really to have an opportunity to have a photo shoot with somebody who's got great reputation and an equally large ego. So go for the instructors that are the quiet achievers, not so much about them and their ego, but people who are capable of imparting skills to other people. That seems to be the way to go. John and I had a great time. We'll be back, and I think now I'm perfectly happy to take her shooting when we do rifle shooting back in New Zealand. I think she'll be into it, so she can participate. Other than that, I don't know. We went through about 3,000 rounds, damn near 4,000 rounds of 7.62. Like I say, great battle rifle if you're not anticipating ever shooting at ranges in excess of 300 metres, then stay with 5.56. It won't hurt as much. If you have a battle rifle, then you're just going to have to be a big boy, suck it up, and do the CQB training and take your lumps. And that's about it. Hope you're well. Talk to you soon.